Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the December 9th, regular City Council meeting to order. And will Councilmember Banks please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please let the record show that all council members are present. Is there any correspondence?
Thank you, Mayor. We have not received any correspondence, only written public comment. Bill and Patty Linscott, discussion of downtown development and plan, and Sally Odegaard, crime 30th Avenue South. And that concludes correspondence and public comment, Mayor.
There's no public comment? No one's, okay, all right. Okay, since there is no public comment, that takes us forward to the city manager's report. And so at this point, I will turn the microphone over to City Manager Michael Mathias.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Mayor, at the last meeting, you acknowledged both the outgoing members of our Human Services Commission and the incoming members. And, you know, they do such an amazing job for the city. They work hard and really contribute to our understanding and the allocation of resources for community organizations, especially that help the city and help our residents. So we're pleased this evening. Rochelle Sims and Nicole are very involved in that commission. I think Rochelle does a lot of the heavy lifting. And I'm going to turn this over to Rochelle to introduce two of the recipients of resources from the city who will give brief presentations on what their programs accomplish. So Rochelle.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. Good evening, Mayor, Council. This evening, we will hear from two of our city-supported agencies, Crisis Connections Teen Link, as well as ANU. As you're aware, the city annually supports various local organizations to provide direct services to our community and for our residents. For 2021 and 2022, we have contracted with 21 agencies, and with that, 25 different programs are supported. All of our organizations provide quarterly reports in which staff review, as well as our Human Service Advisory Committee. This evening, these agencies are joining us to expand on the great work that they are doing and check in with our council as well as community as a whole. So with that, I'll turn it over to Crisis Connections Teen Link. We have Sean Witcher, who is the Teen Lead Substance Use Prevention Clinician, as well as Mohsen Haksar, who is the Director of Washington Recovery and Peer Services.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, yes. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. It's an honor to be joining you this evening. My name is Mohsen Haksar, like Ms. Sam indicated. I'm a licensed mental health counselor as well as a substance use disorder professional. I've been working in the field in the past 4 years, so it's a great honor to be connecting with our good citizens as well as our officials in Des Moines. One of the programs that I help manage is the Teen Link, and I have to be honest, this is one of my favorite teams that I help manage, and I'm especially very fond of the fact that this program is actually run by our teams, by our volunteer teams. We hire some 40 plus teen volunteers who give of their time, at least 1 to 2 shift per month to be listening to their peers in the communities, these kids who may have concerns about mental health issues such as bullying, self-harm, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations, and what have you. So these kids are also monitored by adult mentors who are also trained by our good staffs who kind of oversee and make sure they, everything stays within the scope of their practice. And also we have trained professional who every evening also supervise the shifts. I'm going to let my good colleague Sean talk about the substance use disorder prevention program, but that's one of the services that we provide. So we did go through some period of slowdown in the beginning of this year, but we're catching up, and we're getting quite a few calls on a nightly basis. And it's always a pleasure to hear how good the kids are doing, and it's a program that is much appreciated in the community. Thank you, everybody. And I'll be open to questions later on. Sean?
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. I have some slides prepared for you guys, so I'll just give you a quick breakdown of what TeenLink is and talk about the SUD line, if that's all right. Share my screen here. All right. So Crisis Connections is, TeenLink is part of Crisis Connections. There's other crisis lines that are also part of the line, like the WARM line, the 211 line, Recovery Helpline. And what TeenLink is it's like Mosen was saying, it's a peer-to-peer support service. So we have teen volunteers that are answering the phone, chat, and text lines from 6 to 10 p.m. every night. It was founded in 1996, and we put our teens through quite a bit of training before they are led on the line. But a lot of stuff comes up on the line that teens experience every day, like bullying, stress at school, coming out issues, substance use, and our teens handle it so well. And it's such a privilege to be able to help mentor them while they're helping other teens in the community. They do a lot of active listening and a lot of feelings validation, and we're able to connect teens with resources. So we're not trying to solve their issues. We're just kind of a listening ear for them, because that's what a lot of teens are needing. They're just needing someone to listen to whatever it is that they need to say. We have a lot of volunteers. So there's different types of volunteering that teens can do. And so that's something we always encourage teens to get involved with if that's something that they're interested in. And you can find more info about this at teenlink.org. And the substance use line, this is rather new. This is a line that teens can call in, but also adults can call in if they're concerned about a teen. And that's open Monday through Friday from 2 to 10 p.m. So if anyone wants to call that line, they don't have to be a teen. And I can talk with them directly. We can just talk about whatever it is that they need help with, if they need resources, or if they just want to vent. We are here to support parents and adults with teens. We also have a lot of supportive material on our website that you can check out. The Where to Turn for Teen booklets are super popular, and those are free. You can order those right from our website. And new to our website is a search. And this is connected with the 211 resource site. And what you can do is you can type in what you need here, and it's going to filter just youth resources. So if you're looking for a place where you could just get youth resources, because sometimes it's real hard to sift through, who's going to have supports for teens and who's not, you can type in here on our teenlink.org page, and it'll bring up all these different search categories with youth topics in them. And we also offer suicide prevention training in schools for students. So if that's something you're interested in, that site, I can give you more information about that. Just email, or you can call me too. That's fine. And here's my contact info. So if you do want to reach out and with more questions, or email me regarding booklets or training, I am open for any of that too. So thank you.
Thank you. I see a hand from Councilmember Nutting.
Yeah, I just have a comment, Mayor. Thank you. I wanted to say thank you two, for what you do as a father of a 13 and a 15-year-old. Having the conversation of in the last 18 months about being depressed or what I can do to help. I'm just glad that there's other people out there doing the same thing. And I'm glad that we can support you.
Thank
So,
you.
yes, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I saw Councilmember Buxton, then I will see Councilmember Banks and Councilmember Harris. So we're on Councilmember Buxton.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm very impressed with this work, and I'm so thankful for you out in the community, and also the expansion of the services that, you know, the one slide that showed where this is for adults as well. One thing that's an amazing value to a program like this, a peer-to-peer program, is the students that get the education to become the peer-to-peer support. All of that information and training goes into them. That supports them, and it's like becoming a peer help or counselor is prevention for each of those kids as well. And that's such a fabulous program. I'm very thankful that to be support, that you guys do it and that we can support it. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. Yeah.
Councilmember Banks.
Thank you, Mayor. So I appreciate the PowerPoint and Councilmember Buxton's comments. I think we realize now that with the impacts of COVID and how basically not just teens now, but those that are younger than teens are having issues around how they've been isolated from classmates, excuse me. And, you know, Zoom is not the best for a kid. I don't like it at all as an adult, but at least I can handle it. So are there opportunities that you or another agency can provide those that are younger than a 13 or 12-year-old?
Not direct volunteer experience. Like with kids in school, we give them volunteer hours for their graduation requirements. But if
okay, I'm sorry. I know it's a teen to teen,
okay.
right? And I understand the volunteering and you giving them the tools to help other teens. What is there to help those that are younger?
We don't, it's all right. We don't limit Teen Link to just teens. If a youth can pick up a phone and dial in and call, we will talk to them. We've talked to 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds. We support anyone that is 20 and under.
Okay, I somehow didn't get that.
And we're always open to parents or a significant other in a young person's life to call us as well. And we have a wealth of resources that we can get them to in terms of giving some direct one-on-one
Wonderful.
individual
Awesome.
counseling. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick, I just wanted to say I'm looking at your website, and just the presentation is outstanding. I can see where, you know, my kids, you know, it would appeal to the demographic you're trying to reach, and well done, sir. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor. And if I could just add one thing more, it's like many of our callers, not many, but some, end up getting so interested in Teen Link and the help that they get that they become volunteers themselves. And then they go to college and come back and mentor for us. So some of our youths, they have a long-term relationship with us, and we want to keep it that way. And, you know, one generation helping another.
Well, it's definitely a vital service, and I really appreciate the work that you do. To say much more would be a little redundant now that my other fellow council members have already spoken, but thank you.
Your honor.
And,
Thank you.
And I will tell you that thank you. They're two important words, and I don't think they're said enough, but sometimes they don't feel like they quite reach out enough to recognize the efforts of you know, an outstanding organization or individual. So all I can say at this point, though, is thank you, and I'm glad we could support you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Anu. I'd like to introduce you to Karen Dove. She is the Executive Director. Anu provides job training and so much opportunity to those who enter their program, not just in our community, but in our region. And so I could go on and sing their praises, but I will let Karen Dove jump in.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I appreciate your time today to learn a little bit about what ANU does. We've been doing pre-apprenticeship programming since 1980. And as we started, we were an organization to get more women into the construction industry, but we have cohorts that are female and non-binary specific, and we have cohorts that are co-ed. So this year we assisted about 180 individuals in our pre-apprenticeship training. The training is 12 weeks long, 3 days a week. It's a total of 280 hours. The benefit of going through this training is we have direct and preferred entry into 17 different building trades opportunities. And so if you've got a certificate from ANU, you've got a leg up in getting into those apprenticeships. We also help with placement. Our placement rate is over 75% of our graduates are placed into jobs that start at $22 to $26 an hour, most of those in union apprenticeship programs. We also have a career exploration that we do with in-school youth. So we go around to schools. As you know, we've been telling our children that the only way to be successful is to go to college. And we know that that's not true. There's other ways that you can be successful. And so we go into high schools. We do 40-hour summer programs where the youth actually get paid to come to our program and learn about different opportunities in the construction field. The third area of programming is our Apprentice Resource Center. Well, we're getting women and people of color into apprenticeships. They're still the lowest completers of apprenticeships out there. Black males actually only graduate at a 33% rate and females at a 34% rate, while white males are at about 43%. So our Apprentice Resource Center is there to help people stay in their apprenticeship. We want people to stay in to finish their apprenticeship. And so we don't just graduate them and send them off to be successful. We graduate them and they come back and we assist them until they are out of their apprenticeship. And lastly, because there is a culture issue in construction, we have the Rise Up program, Respect, Inclusion, Safety, and Equity in the Construction Trades. That is a program that is meant to change the culture of construction to one that is more inclusive to all people. And so we work with contractors, public agencies to provide training and resources to ensure that contractors and work sites are respectful and inclusive of everyone, and that people are not experiencing things like the swastika incidents we've had in the last 6 months, and the noose incidents, and a wide variety of other things that typically don't happen in offices but are still happening on construction sites. So those are the 4 areas of programming. In the last 3 years, we've assisted 35 Des Moines residents. 13 of them have completed pre-apprenticeship training. 8 of those were female, 5 male. And we are, as we roll into 2022, we are definitely working to intentionally recruit from the Des Moines area, and would love to be connected with any organization or different opportunities that we have to talk to people about this opportunity and how it can change their lives. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
See, okay, all right. I see Councilmember Nutting. I see Deputy Mayor Mahoney. I see Councilmember Buxton. And I see Councilmember Harris. And I think that, okay, so we'll start with Councilmember Nutting.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a comment and it'll be quick. I really appreciate your guys' program. I reached out to several of my friends before we approved some ARPA funds for you guys to learn more, and it's amazing. I have a good friend that's a Hispanic male that's a teacher at the plumbing hall And he loves getting people from ANU so they can run them through the program. My dad's a retired steam fitter from the hall. My mom is retired from the teachers union, and my wife's a teacher. So you guys do a great job. And so I can't say enough about what you do to help people get on their feet with living wages and great retirement. I mean, when you can retire after 30 years and at 65 and live a really good life afterwards, it's a good thing. So congratulate. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Mahoney?
Thank you, Mayor. I also am impressed with what you presented. A couple questions real quick. So do you guys refer them also? I know there unions as well. I know a lot of unions are eagerly accepting them. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we are obviously a nonprofit organization. We have members on our board that are union. We have members that are open shop contractors. We're here to get people family wage careers.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the people who graduate from the program do end up going into the union, mostly because of the wages and benefits that are higher. But we work with both. We work with all of the different union trades. We're the only pre-apprenticeship that is approved by the Washington State Building Trades as a recognized program. So we're pretty proud of that history and the relationship we have with not only our apprenticeship programs, but contractors. And I will say that going into 2020, as the pandemic hit and things, briefly slowed down for the industry, as we started 2021, a lot of people were pulling back funding and worried about whether we were going to get people into apprenticeship. This has been our busiest year yet. 2021 has been crazy. Everybody, almost anyone who wants to be placed is placed immediately. And 2022, we already have 11 cohorts scheduled and funded, which is 2 more than we had this year. So that's the good news. It's looking great for people in 2022.
I love it. Now, last year I sent a letter in because there was efforts to do apprenticeship programs, or at least tied to the high schools and so forth. And my question is what else as a council can we do maybe to, promote the benefits you offer? Because you're right, everybody's not made for college, as you said. And I have been very impressed as I've toured some of the training facilities, in mostly union in my regard, but a lot what I'm amazed about, and I ask a few of the kids that I get exposed to through the high school football team and stuff, and they're not interested in going to college, but it didn't seem some of them knew about the programs, and I kind of point them in that direction. So I'm looking for ways we might be able to help you and get the word out.
Yeah, so we did a study recently, and part of the issue is most parents don't even know that apprenticeship is a paid earn as you learn opportunity. And so, parents are driving some of those decisions also. Anytime we can get in front of parents, youth, to do a presentation, we're there. You have some place for us to be, we will be there, and we will talk to them about the opportunities apprenticeship has. And our number one source of people is word of mouth right now. So your mouths are what would get the word out for us to get more people into our program. That's the best way you can help us.
I'd love to follow up with you because I think I'd like to introduce you to a few contexts that could be greatly beneficial to some of our Des Moines youth. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Buxton.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, Karen, as you know, I'm a huge fan. And so I'm thrilled with this program, and you did a great job presenting it for anybody watching tonight. And just for clarity, I think Councilmember Nutting mentioned it, but we support, not only do we support ANU through our Human Services Advisory Commission, but this council just a couple months ago authorized a large portion of our ARPA funding into this program to provide for training for Des Moines residents specifically. And I think was it 20, how many, 20 people in this community will get a funded pre-apprenticeship training through ANU. And that's thrilling to me. Look at the quality of this. And one thing that you mentioned to me when we talked before, Karen, you said that before there was a certain percentage of cohorts that were reached out to and basically hired before they even completed the pre-apprenticeship, the 12 weeks. And what was that? What was the statistic on that?
Yeah, Juan, the cohort that we were talking about, I believe it was over 50% were hired before they even graduated. And that's pretty common. We have contractors that do mock interviews, and most of the time about half the class is hired or offered positions during those mock interviews.
Fantastic. So pleased to support this agency. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. Karen, thank you very much for, it sounds great. I was wondering, is there like a short list of specific trades that, are most popular, or, you mentioned construction. Is it exclusively construction, or is there like a wider scope beyond that? I guess that would be my first thing.
Our pre-apprenticeship training is construction, maritime, transportation, manufacturing focused. The majority of them are exposed to careers in the construction industry. Every cohort's a little different. It's 12 weeks, and we work with apprenticeship programs to come in and present and do hands-on activities with the participants. So the programs that come in and participate with the youth are the ones who recruit the most people. It's amazing how that works. And so, that typically carpenters, laborers, sheet metal workers, electricians and plumbers are the top 5 of our
that's what I was getting at. It was just, the specifics. The other thing is, I hear at the Port of Seattle meetings all the time about, they really want to encourage women to become contractors, and is that something that you guys, I understand you're at a different level, but is that something that, ultimately is part of the discussion? They seem quite interested in furthering that, especially, contractors here in Des Moines, women and so on.
Well, you should be on my board, because that's that's one of my next things that I want to do. We have graduates now that have started businesses, and they would be great mentors for additional women that want to create their own businesses and do those types of things. And it's definitely on my bucket list of things to do. It's just a matter of kind of getting that funding figured out and things like that. But it is definitely on our list of things to do.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Again, fantastic program, and I'm really glad that we were able to fund it. I think looking forward, the question is, what can we do to support it? Well, that's what we need to do, is continue to support it and make sure the community is aware of it. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. And with that, that concludes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. Mayor, I just want to say it's so inspiring to hear these stories and these programs that are on the ground helping people, that hopefully we can do more of this into next year and have more reports from agencies. So I think it's just awesome to see the value of what we're supporting. And there's no question about the immense value it has. But with that, that concludes the city manager's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. At this point, will the clerk please read the consent calendar?
Item 1, approval of vouchers. Item 2, Marina District Pedestrian Enhancement and Utility Undergrounding Project, Authorization and Puget Sound Energy Schedule 74 Agreement Amendment Change Order. And that concludes the consent calendar, Mayor.
Councilmember Nutting.
Move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilmember Nutting, seconded by Councilmember Banks. Does anybody wish to remove an item? Councilmember Harris,
Yes, Mayor. Item 2.
do you wish to remove it because you want to modify it, or you just want to make a comment?
I wanted to ask some questions about it before deciding. Yes, I do want to remove it. You bet.
Okay, we're removing item 2.
Thank you.
All right, so all those in favor of the consent calendar, item number 1, please raise your hand until I call your name. Councilmember Martinelli, Councilmember Harris, Councilmember Buxton, Councilmember Bangs, Councilmember Nutting, Deputy Mayor Mahoney, and myself. Okay, the consent agenda, item 1 passes 7-0. Item number 2, Marina District Pedestrian Enhancement and Utility Underground Project Authorization. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't see who's, I guess, first of all, is this the final expected cost for the project? Anybody can, feel free to.
City Manager Mathias, do we have someone who can answer the question?
Yeah, I believe Dan Brewer is ready to respond.
Can you please repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, is this additional cost, this change order, is this the expected final cost of the project?
This is the final cost of phase 1 of the project, which is paving the alley and undergrounding the utilities.
And is the purpose of this 163 to extend that undergrounding to 225th, from 225th to 227th? I mean, is that why the reason for the charge?
No, the reason for the charge, as explained in the packet, was to account for certain inflationary factors that we're responsible to pay for, as well as additional scope changes that were made over the last, well, since the contract was initiated, so over the last 16 months or so, that we have been working with the business owners in responding to some of their concerns about the project, and so that we directed some scope changes with PSE and their contractor. So this is just basically paying the bills for what you see out in the field at this point.
Can you give me an example of what those scope changes, just like one?
More asphalt. We extended the asphalt limits for the project.
Huh. Okie dokie. Thank you.
Councilmember Nutting.
I move to approve the construction change order with Puget Sound Energy for the undergrounding of the distribution system and jointly utility trench for the aerial utilities and surface restoration in accordance with the Schedule 74 undergrounding conversion project construction agreement, and authorize the city manager to sign change order substantially in the form as submitted.
Second.
I have a tie for second between Councilmember Bangs and Deputy Mayor Mahoney. Let the record show I have both. Okay, with that, all those in favor? Traci, I'm sorry, Councilmember Buxton. I didn't see. Go ahead.
That's right. Thank you, Mayor. Just had a quick comment. I considered some of these questions that Councilmember Harris had, and one of the things that made it kind of a non-issue for me was when we consider it's over $1 million per mile to pave, and then you add COVID and supply chain issues, and additional expenses, including one block of downtown paving. This is a very reasonable contingency or overage, and it wasn't a concern to me at all. So that's all. that's the only comment I have. Thank you.
Excellent point. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Mayor,
Councilmember Harris, would you like to speak again?
yes, please. So I will not be voting for this simply because, I am on the Transportation Committee, and we had a meeting, I don't know, last week of November. And at that time, the cost was $540. And, the city was well aware of this cost hike before that meeting. It would have been appropriate to tell, in my opinion, to tell the Transportation Committee. And yeah, there are cost overruns, but 540 to 704, that's not just a cost overrun, man.
These are not cost overruns. These are scope changes.
Well,
Council members are fully aware of that. People complained, and we've gotten direction to do this work. So
okay, that I didn't want to. Yeah, okay.
City Manager Mathias, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to state regarding this that first of all, this was a partnership with PSE for costs. The extension of the asphalt was to some degree response to concerns by the business owners along the alleyway to assure that they could have their, trucks and whatever in a position to unload goods and product to the businesses. So some of this is a response to concerns expressed in the community, in addition to the reasons that Dan mentioned, just for the record, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor, please raise your hand until I call your name. I see Councilmember Buxton, Councilmember Bangs, Councilmember Nutting, Deputy Mayor Mahoney, and myself. Opposed? I see Mr. Harrison Martinelli. Okay, passes.
Mayor, point of order. I raise my hand in favor.
In favor. I apologize. I did
That's
not
okay.
see the timing. Okay, passes 6-1. Thank you. And again, excellent use of point of order. Okay, we will now go, that completes our consent calendar and the discussion around it. We now go to our board and committee reports and council member comments. And tonight we will start with Councilmember Bangs.
Thank you, Mayor. Only one committee meeting, and that was our Police Department Advisory Committee meeting, of which Deputy Mayor Mahoney and I are liaisons. The chief and Deputy Chief Mark Cooey went over the situations that have been occurring so the committee would be apprised of what we've been talking about over the last few weeks. It's very disconcerting, and everyone agreed that it was based on the shootings and the increase in crime that we've been experiencing. The chief went over the 5-prong approach that he went over with the public safety emergency management and the council meeting. It's exasperating. We know, all of us feel the same way. If you could figure out where the crime would happen before the crime happens, we would certainly stop it. But what I really appreciated was the emphasis that the chief made on the fact that we are collaborating with many, many cities, Federal Way, Kent, Des Moines, of course, and our federal agencies, which is really a first considering that they've come forward to assist rather than us pulling them. So a lot of questions around community involvement, what could they do? And, the first thing to do is don't get yourself in harm's way. Second thing is to 911, even if it's something that you're not 100% sure about, but it could be an issue. For me, I stay home at night. I mean, this happens during the day too, but I don't go out at night. This is like one way I'm keeping myself safe. But the other thing was that if people own properties, and I don't know who really does, but if you own properties that you don't live on, then you should clean it up. Make sure it's not there open for vagrancies and things like that. The chief also emphasized the fact that we've got 2 detectives from Des Moines dedicated to this. And We're going to be at that South Precinct. We've got a task force that our own detectives, or we're going to have detectives from each agency on that task force. I mean, there's just a lot going on and a lot of action that our own police department is involved in. And I did ask the question, are we the lead on this, or is everybody really working together? And the answer was everybody's working together. So this is good, and hopefully we'll see this continue. And certainly isn't going to be a phase, because even when I'm off council, I plan on being on these committees. So thank you, Chief, and thank you, Assistant Chief Cooley. That was a great presentation. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Nutty.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing at this time.
Okay, Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. On Tuesday, I attended a behavioral health forum with Representative Orwell and Senator Kaiser, Senator Wilson, you know, it's striking how there are resources and it's hard to get people connected with them. So that's why, you know, the Team Link presentation was so impressive to me. There seems to be a gap for working class people who are not fallen off the cliff, but, you know, struggling to maintain. And boy, I wish that could be more part of the conversation. I voted against the downtown alley thing, basically for a lack of information. I think that, you know, for the city to pay for this kind of build out, there should be some kind of public information about, okay, what's the long game benefit of this? You know, how does it turn into something that becomes an economic driver? Otherwise, I don't think we should be in the business of paying the build out for existing property owners. Love you guys, but you know, I don't understand the long-term value proposition, especially with just these changes. And I've been on the Transportation Committee for 2 years, and when they talk about scope changes, okay, somebody may have been informed, but, you know, not me. And regarding the public safety stuff, you know, I've lived here a while, and it is wonderful. The chief, the response is fantastic. There will need to be some form of long game. People, something happens every 4 or 5 years. People who haven't lived here very long, something happens, and we go heavy for a while, and then we don't. And it's impressive to me to see neighborhood groups starting to organize. And my advice is keep it up, because there are some neighborhoods that have had groups that have persisted over the decades, and they have maintained the city's attention. So keep it going. Thank you.
Councilmember Buxton.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, this week I attended a webinar that was hosted by King County called in regard to the fentanyl crisis. And there were participants on this webinar from all over our state, then all over the nation, really, Chicago, New Jersey, Indianapolis. So it was very well attended, a lot of interest. A couple of data points, well, actually just one really. In 2015, there were 3 recorded overdoses, fentanyl overdoses in King County. And this year, so far, it's 350. So just shortly, I guess there are a couple of resources that were mentioned during this webinar, and I'll just mention them here. One is through the King County website called Laced and Lethal, and it's just a whole bunch of information about fentanyl. And then in regard to overdose support and just opiates in general, there's a site called stopoverdose.org. No dots, dashes, or underlines, just stop overdose. So anybody would be interested, I would encourage you to visit those two sites. On to something more fun. I attended the tree lighting that was hosted by Destination Des Moines, mostly, and down at Big Catch Plaza, and that was great fun. My voice was sore just from talking with parents and kids and shaking hands and waving to Santa. It was really a fun event. And then South King Fire brought Santa through all sorts of communities in Des Moines on Friday and Saturday. And so I grabbed my grandson and we went and met him down in Redondo, and that was great fun. Appreciate these community events, a huge way to bring the community together. I also attended the Public Issues Committee that's hosted by Sound Cities Association this week. And it was a gathering of, I think, probably close to 30 representatives from cities all over the county attended last night. And I would say by far the largest issue right now in front of almost all of our cities is public safety. And several cities like we are piloting co-responder models where they're putting some behavioral health professionals out into the community to work closely with law enforcement. So a lot of cities are responding similar to our response. I also today attended the State of the Port webinar, and just a couple data points, things that kind of stood out to me. They're projecting $4.5 billion in capital improvements in the next 5 years. So they have a lot of investment in future growth. There's a huge focus on green projects, and in their economic development support for our communities, there's a big emphasis on BIPOC and women-owned businesses. And I heard this term for the first time today. It's WIMBY. It's a combination of women and BIPOC. They use that term. So if you hear that, I had to look it up. And then also a big positive response to the Port's Community Youth Initiative, connecting disadvantaged young people to the workforce careers. It's been very successful for them. So appreciated attending that today. And I think that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Martinelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any comments tonight.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Mahoney.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for calling out the tree lighting. It was a pleasure seeing you guys there. It was a lot of fun. I, on Monday, attended the Highline Community Conversation. The college presented one where they wanted particular people in the community to talk about what their needs were in education for future jobs and how they were going to go about that. Equity and equality in their student base and their educators. It was very informative. It was greatly participated from various members, a lot of people I met for the first time. But it's exciting what they're doing up there, and they do want to be part of our community. We'll try to figure out ways as we move forward. I attended basically I listened in on the King County Public Health Update. And most of the information was about the most recent variant Omicron. And what I got out of the message is, while Delta is still the primary here, if you haven't been vaccinated, please get vaccinated. And those that are eligible for a booster should seriously consider it. The benefits and the science tell us that it's working and protects the residents. One interesting fact is, we were told always that 70% vaccination rate would create herd immunity. And in this particular strain, they've discovered that it needs to be around 90. So I thought that was kind of an astounding piece of information. I attended the START meeting as a viewer, like we would be as council members. Particularly, there was a study of interest they reported on. It was the school pollution study. And one particular interesting piece was the HEPA filters that put in the school and what the results were before and after. They definitely work, and it's definitely got to be part of the position as we move forward. More information to follow on that, but I thought that was interesting. And then finally, just as whatever holiday you celebrate, this is a time where, make wise choices, be careful, be safe out there on the roads, etc., and really enjoy your family and friends. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, the council will be going into executive session for the purpose of discussing the performance of a public employee under RCW 42.30.1101G. The executive session will last approximately 60 minutes. No formal action will be taken at the end of the executive session. Council members, this is a separate Zoom. You were given separate registration for that. So our council meeting will end at the end of this session. So I think it's beneficial to know that our next meeting will be on December 16th, which is next Thursday. And at this point, we will prepare